6 minutes past the hour. I'm Cathy Lewis. Nice to have you with us on a little bit of a rainy Friday afternoon in Hampton Roads. Let that not dissuade you from all of the St. Patrick's Day events that will be getting underway tonight and tomorrow throughout Hampton Roads. Today we're going to be talking about this engineering conference that's coming up at Old Dominion University. Now, when you hear engineering, you may automatically think, well, I'm not an engineer, there's not much in it for me, but that is not the case. This will be the premier green technology event in Virginia. Governor Bob McDonnell plans to come on Tuesday, April 13th at Old Dominion University. It's going to be a full day of conferences and speakers talking about how to go about the idea of making your business green, being more green in your personal life as well. They'll have some great examples of how to do that, many of which come from right here in Hampton Roads. So it'll be a terrific opportunity to sort of assess where you are in your own business with regard to going green and seeing what some next steps might be as you consider those opportunities for yourself and for your company. We are delighted to have with us today the keynote luncheon speaker for that program, Edward Nixon, who began as an international consultant, happened to be the brother of the president who came up with the idea of the Environmental Protection Agency. Mr. Nixon, welcome. I'm happy to have you with us today.
Good to be with you.
I know that I read that you graduated from Duke and have long had a great connection to that fine institution.
Well, I continue my interest in it, but geology is the subject that I fell upon because
right.
It really led to my back to my earliest childhood memories of what to do about the earth.
Yeah, and we are delighted to have you with us at this very moment because I think just about 8 minutes, I don't even want to tell you this because you might leave us and go run to your television set, but I think just about 8 minutes ago the tip-off came in the Duke UVA game, so you can imagine there will be lots of folks here in the Commonwealth of Virginia watching that game. And we kind of pretty well, I think, know what the outcome of that's going to be, and I think you will be celebrating. That's what I think is probably going to happen there. We're delighted to have you with us today, and particularly to talk about your life around this concept of environmentalism, because it occurs to me that this came for you long before the rest of us got hold of it. And so what was it about the study of geology that really propelled you on this lifelong path to what we would now today call environmentalism?
Long story, and I'll try to keep it very brief here. My brother always encouraged me to study history and try to avoid the errors of the past that we can identify if we only read it thoroughly as they do in Europe. I always told him we'd take history in school, and it's required, and I'll get all I need there. And he says, no, you won't. You need to read history. So I responded in my childish way. He was 17 years older than I, so of course I had to have an answer. I said, no, Dick, I'll take all that as it comes along, but I want to study the history before man started messing with it. So I became a geologist.
and that early decision really led you to, it sounds like, to some pretty significant concerns about how things were going in terms of the world in which we live.
Yes, we can talk about, fossil fuel, as we call it, as a bugaboo because of what it does to our atmosphere if we throw too much of it back in. Several billion years of accumulation from solar energy, making green things grow and then becoming what we can burn as fossil fuel. But we can burn all that in a couple hundred years like never before, and it's given us concern. Beyond that concern, though, there are things that humans can do, not many. I'm not too convinced that we can reverse the trend of what we've already got too far gone. But we can clean up what we do ourselves individually. And if you talk about engineering being a turnoff for some people, I see it as engineering is more than just the application of science. It's the application of everything we learn. Business engineering is involved with every entrepreneurial venture. And young people got to figure out that they can engineer a new development, hire people, and go for this thing. Well, we call it green. To me, it's far more than green. Green is a beautiful color right in the middle of the spectrum that we can see. But we have every side of it as well, ultraviolet to infrared. And we can retrieve that energy as it goes by the Earth, coming out of the sun. is, I call it, instead of renewable energy, I would call it transient retrievable energy. And
Wow.
I like the idea that we can do things, making our businesses clean. That's a great goal. And some of these, we have some great examples in the country now of companies, and there are a lot of pioneers right there in Virginia. And I'm anxious to get back and see it because I haven't been in Virginia since '72 re-election campaign.
Well, a lot's changed.
I bet it's different, but I really want to see it, and hope I can give some thoughts to everybody there that, as I see it, the world is ours to do something with. And,
we're at 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. If you have questions today for Edward Nixon, who has been an international consultant since 1971, gone all over the world looking at the ways that countries are dealing with these issues and looking at the possibilities when it comes to, as he just said, this whole role of engineering and what we can fix and what we can't. I was struck when you said that you did not hold out a whole lot of hope that we can turn back the tide on some of this, that a lot of this is sort of what's done is done. There are some things we certainly can do, but what's done is done. And so I wonder, and I don't certainly want us to get bogged down on the subject, but it is something that we hear about in the public conversation around these issues, about whether the degree to which the situation in which we now find ourselves is man-made. For you, is that an argument you spend a lot of time with, or do you just sort of move on from that and say, well, here are some options?
No, it's we do have to focus on. I believe that in my own mind and all I know that anthropogenic man has done damage that may or may not be reversed. I don't know that it can be reversed totally, but we can certainly reduce our effect, and then look at the other causes of climate change, such as things we don't know much about. Sunspot cycles seem to be doing all kinds of crazy things lately, and look out for those things that are outside our environment as we can see it. But what we can see, we must act on, and make our business and our activities clean.
And so I'm thinking back to those, just sort of imagining what that must have been like. You come out of college with this geological background in education. You've now sort of gone all over the world, and you're really interested in this idea. So were you then involved in your brother's creation of the EPA, or did you just talk to him about it, advise him? What was the nature of your work on that?
Well, Duke was not that far from Washington, D.C., and while he was in Congress, I would come up to visit now and then. We had a lot of discussions about growing up in California and the national park visits that we could make, and we could see the effect of smudge spots keeping the orange groves warm in the winter, which was devastating to the lungs, and I didn't like that. But beyond that, experience in a geology course in the East, as Duke and NC State and all those would know, you go up for field trips into the Appalachians, West Virginia, the western end of North Carolina, East Tennessee, Ducktown, and you could see the remnants, the damage that humans caused by taking wealth out of the ground and leaving piles of debris that are not only dangerous but harmful to the earth in general. And I think I impressed him somewhat with that. And he said, well, maybe we should do something about that. And I said, what would you do? I said, I can't think of anything, but you're in Congress. See if you can think of some way we can make the miners and those that take profit out of the earth, put some of it back and make it better. So that was the concept I was conveying, but there were others in his administration that brought it out. I didn't have any direct influence.
Really interesting. We're talking today with Edward Nixon, who will be the luncheon keynote speaker at the Engineering Unplugged conference at Old Dominion University. That'll be Tuesday, April 13th, 2010. They have a website, which, as you might not be surprised to learn, is engineeringunplugged.com. You can also call 683-5479 for information. It is going to be quite the conference. This is the second one that they have had, and expanding it all the time. In just a few minutes, we'll talk with Clair Dorsey,